Hello! Thank you for coming to this video today, guys. I really appreciate it. This is my new channel, Big Pay Clips. I really need some support on this channel. It's very new, and YouTube is harsh to new channels. So if you guys want to support this channel, the best thing you can do is subscribe to it, turn on the notification bell, leave a like on the video, and also comment down below. Maybe even just a thumbs up. It would really help the channel. I do want to grow this channel. This is going to be specifically clips from the Cardano Aura podcast. The link for that will be down below. And then some other things I want to do, just some other creative ideas that I have, right? If you want to support the channel financially, the best way you can do so is delegating to my pools. I have Bloom and Bloom 2. Both pools have a 2.5 million pledge, and we are delegated by 3,000 different delegates in the Cardano ecosystem. So that shows you that a lot of other people believe in Bloom, and I do personally. I delegate all my ADA to Bloom. Another way you can help me without ADA, a free way to do it, and you also get to block ads on this video that you're watching today, is you download the Brave browser. What the Brave browser does is it actually blocks ads, and it blocks the trackers within those ads, and those trackers track your location, getting your IP address, and they use that and actually sell it to other people to help pay for those ads. So if you want to stop that, all you do is you download the Brave browser from the link down below. It uses Chrome, so you can bring over all your Chrome stuff, and you actually get paid in cryptocurrency for using the browser. As you can see right here, I have 3.5 BAT, and you can actually go to websites that you like and send it to those websites. Look, so you can send one tip. There you go. But yeah, let's jump into the video. Then to it transferring over to what IOHK made, where they're running it there. The next thing I wanted to talk about was multi-delegation wallets. You actually made another video on this, and I think you went over like 4 different ways to do it and the pros and cons of each. And I think off the top of my head, your favorite was the third one. And I think that's what IOHK said that we're actually going with, right? Is the third way?
Yeah, so let me do a brief overview of the video for
Perfect.
people who may not have seen it. So a lot of people will want the ability to delegate to multiple stake pools from one wallet, right? So that'd be when you open up your stake delegation tab in Yoroi, instead of selecting one pool, you say, okay, I want to delegate 100 ADA to this pool and 200 ADA to this pool and so on. Now, we don't support that yet, not in Daedalus, not in Yoroi, not in any wallet, and it's because at the protocol level this can't be done. So there's kind of 2 ways you could solve this problem. One is solving it at the protocol level, so we could add multi-delegations for the protocol level. Another way is trying to solve it at the wallet level. What can wallets do without requiring a change to the protocol to get this working? Now, the ideal solution, which is number 3, is a protocol level change, because then it's much easier for wallets to implement this. Having Yoroi, Adalites, Daedalus, and all the other third parties out there implement this functionality is much easier if it's part of the protocol instead of everyone having to redo the same hack over and over again. And so that was the ideal solution. But the problem is that the IHK team is obviously very busy. They're working on Goguen, they're working on Voltaire, they're working on Basho, they're working on all this stuff, right? So to say, okay, well, we needed this other new functionality on chain, it's hard to allocate time for that. And so we said, okay, well, what can we do from the wallet layer in the meantime? Because people don't want to wait; they want this, quote unquote, now.
Yeah.
And so in the video, I mentioned the different ways you could do it from the wallet perspective, but they all have some really nasty trade-offs. Like, nothing is like a smooth user experience. You're gonna have like a manual and walk people through it and be like, okay, well, if you do this and this happens and this is how it works, and here's a 10-minute video that explains it, which is not ideal. Already with the Udo extension, we have so much stuff to try and explain to users what is going on. Just blockchain is already complex. To have like another layer of complexity just turns people off, right? They want to open their wallet, load in some ADA from an exchange, and delegate, and have it be done. Right?
And then when they click the delegate button to select 5 different pools and then click done, and it just automatically does it exactly.
And so if you're interested in different ways you could do it from the wallet layer, you're more than welcome to check out the video where I go through it in depth. But the way we're most likely to do it for now is multi-account support. And so that's to say, right now in Yoroi, whenever you type in your recovery phrase, you get a single wallet, right? It's a one-to-one mapping. But it doesn't have to be that way. You could have one-to-many mapping. So you put in your recovery phrase, and then there will be a pop-up saying, okay, which wallet do you want to recover? Wallet 1, wallet 2, wallet 3, wallet 4. And you pick a wallet you want to recover. And each wallet you recover has a different balance and a different set of stake pools you can delegate to. And so this is a way we can solve the problem from a wallet perspective. Doesn't require protocol change. The main user downside to this is that the user has to remember which wallets they're using. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of support tickets being like, hey, I restore my wallet and it's 0. And we'll have to tell them, like, did you create it wallet 1, wallet 2, wallet 3? Do you remember which one you created? And so it has some user trade-offs. But the reason we're going this way is because the users that care the most about this are hardware wallet users. Because if you're using desktop and you want to delegate to 5 different stake pools, it's doable. You can create 5 different recovery phrases, write them all down, and then manage
split up the ADA.
Yeah, but from hard wallets, having multiple different recovery phrases on the same hard wallet, it's super tedious because every time you have to factory reset your device and enter a new recovery phrase, it's just not great. And so the easiest way to do this would be saying, okay, we'll support one-to-many, not at a delegation level, but at a wallet level. You can have one recovery phrase to multiple wallets, and we'll add that to hardware wallets. That way, instead of having to factory reset your hardware wallet every time, you can, when you connect your hardware wallet, say which hardware wallet do you want to connect to, wallet 1, wallet 2, wallet 3, wallet 4. And so you still have the trade-off where people will have to remember which wallet they created, was it wallet 2 or 3, and so on. But at least it gives them a way to delegate to multiple stake pools if they want to.
Yeah. So
that's what we're working on right now.
From a stake pool operator's perspective, to delegate to a pool, you have a staking public key and a staking secret key, and you generate a certificate to the pool that you want to stake to. You sign it and you submit it. So what would be the protocol level change that would allow you to do that to multiple pools? Would it just be a way to type the amount of ADA within that delegation certificate?
Right. So Jormungandr actually had this functionality. Yodo actually supported this with Jormungandr. We just hid it in the UI because Daedalus didn't support at the time, and we didn't want to add a feature that Daedalus didn't support because then it would just confuse everybody.
Yeah.
It'd be terrible if you went to Jormungandr during the Shelly testnet, you create a wallet, you delegate your ADA, and you open in Daedalus, it crashes or like gives the wrong result or something. And so we ended up never enabling this feature. But Jormungandr did support multi-delegation. And the way they did it was that they had something called a ratio staking, ratio delegation. And instead of having to specify like 200 ADA to this pool and 100 ADA to this pool, you instead specify a ratio. So you say 10% of my ADA goes to this pool and 20% of my ADA goes to the other pool and so on. And the benefit of this approach was that if you add more ADA to your wallet, it automatically gets distributed correctly. And so if we were to add it at the protocol level, I think that's the simplest user experience because it makes sense at protocol level. It's easy to add more ADA and it automatically works. And when somebody delegates, they pick their pools and it picks the ratio, how much percentage of your ADA you want to delegate. Yeah. The only downside to doing it at a protocol level is it adds another layer of complexity to the calculations. So if you imagine your node has to calculate, okay, who gets how much ADA, and then distribute the rewards. And because this calculation has to be done without slowing down the blockchain, it's done over a long period of time, which is why the stake rewards are so slow to update. Like right now, it's like 4 to 5 epochs, I think, 15 to 20 days. 34? Yeah.
So how do they do that? How do they essentially outsource the processing power over multiple epochs? If that transaction is just in one block, how do they let it be 3 or 4 epochs, or like you said, 5 epochs for that to work?
Yeah, if you look at the specification, different steps in the calculation happen at different times. And so they just split up the calculation over time instead of doing it all at one time. So say, okay, first we'll compute which stake pools how much ADA, and then next epoch we'll calculate, okay, if this pool has this much ADA, how many blocks could they make? And then the next epoch we'll calculate, okay, if they made this many blocks, this person will get this much reward. And the next epoch, okay, now we'll calculate their new balance after applying all the changes. So if you look at the specification, it says at which time everything happens.
That's really interesting.
but it just means that the calculation gets more complicated because now you have to handle fractions,
Yeah.
right? You have to say like, okay, they have 10 ADA, and then 7% goes to this pool, and 12% goes to this pool, and then how do you round down and round up and make
Hmm.
sure that all the nodes round up and round down the same
Yeah,
way
and
and
that's a
so on.
lot more calculations too,
Yeah.
and also you should probably, do you think you'd have to have a limit to how many pools per wallet because of all the calculations that come with that, or is that?
That's a good question. Um, I don't know at what point it would become infeasible. I know for Cardano, the mainnet, the way we discourage this is that there's a fee for registering a staking key, which is 2 ADA right now, right?
Yeah.
And so if we want to limit somebody, we would not limit them at a protocol level. We would just limit in fees, right? So we'd say something like, okay, if you want to have ratio staking, you can, but every extra pool you add in the ratio costs another 2 ADA or something like that. So
Okay.
if you want to limit people from doing something, the best way to do it is just limit it at the fee level, because then people will not want to spend, you know, ADA delegating to 100 different stake pools if it costs them 1,000 ADA to do it, right?
Yeah. So, but
So
that two
we
ADA is actually locked up until you undelegate, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
So it wouldn't have to be the same way, because the 2 ADA is not for the stake pool itself, it's for the staking key. Um,
mhm.
but we can come up with a new kind of fee if we want to have this multi-delegation support, because we at some point in the protocol we have to stop people from doing some DDoS attack where they have a billion wallets, each wallet delegating to 10,000 stake pools, right? Because that would just cause everything to slow down. And the easiest way to slow people down and stop them from doing this is not to stop people from delegating to more than X pools, it's just to make sure that the fees accurately represent the calculation they're um, imposing on the network.
Yeah. So earlier you talked about blockchain bloat. Um, what is having